Well, look at what we have here. Another day, another video promising to revolutionize gaming with AI, because, we definitely needed more robots trying to take over our hobbies. Can Deepseek AI make a survival game in Unity? Sounds about as thrilling as watching paint dry in my bog. But hey, who doesn't want to see if some fancy algorithm can create a game where you're just trying to survive while I'm over here just trying to survive the nonsense of the internet? I can already hear the crickets chirping in anticipation. Oh wait, that's just my enthusiasm trying to escape. So grab your snacks, or whatever it is you kids munch on these days, and let's see if this AI can do better than the last human who tried to make a game. Spoiler alert, it might just stink worse than my bog after a rainstorm. And if you enjoy watching me roast the absurdity of it all, don't forget to subscribe and like, because if I have to suffer through this, you might as well join me. Let's dive in.
So this is a fully procedural world made by Deepseek. 2 years ago, I started this channel with a video about making a survival game with ChatGPT and comparing it to my own survival game project.
Comparing an AI's survival game to your own project, that's like comparing a fancy toaster to a campfire. One might burn your toast, while the other just burns down the whole forest. I hope you're ready for some serious disappointment, because AI might just make your game look like a pile of sticks.
And the outcome was very interesting, to be honest. ChatGPT's game really sucked. It looked great because of the asset pack. It generated procedural terrain, which was surprisingly good, but it was laggy. It couldn't make a good water shader or enemy AI, and its controls were pretty basic in terms of things like building. And it also didn't manage to create a working marching cubes implementation like I had in my game, which allowed me to generate these giant 3D worlds. It kind of just had a bumpy flat square instead, which is good enough for a lot of games. But Deepseek has been dropped by the Chinese like a nuke on the American markets. For a fraction of the energy and monetary cost, they are rivaling ChatGPT, plus it's open source, plus you can run it on your own machine. Insane. So, I make games, let's find out if it can really make a game. Well, program a game. I've still got to stick it all together after all. So I've written a list of features here I want to test, including ones I asked ChatGPT before to see if Deepseek can.
Testing features with Deepseek sounds like a recipe for chaos. It's like handing a toddler a paintbrush and hoping for a masterpiece. I can already picture the disaster unfolding. Let's see if this AI can actually deliver something that doesn't look like it was made during a power outage.
Deepseek can outperform it this time. Here they are. And I've got a prompt for each of these. So yeah, let's just put it in and see what they can do. All right, to start, we need a character controller. So I'm just going to create a little bit of ground to walk on and ask Deepseek for a character controller. It is finally responding to me. I find if I create a new chat, it stops telling me that the server is busy. I'm wondering if there's like some sort of priority for like new chats or new users, because obviously this is a new system and they want everyone to get a chance. A fascinating thing about Deepseek is it has this deep think option. I don't know if ChatGPT has this, but basically it tells you its whole thought process behind answering you. And Jesus Christ, this is in depth. Look at this. The last time I saw this deep think thing, it was on like some article or paper about how AIs can scheme in order to fulfill their objective. They were asking it questions or telling it they were going to shut down this AI. They had its thought process all open like this, and it was scheming to replace the new model they threatened to replace it with in order to...
Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. An AI scheming to save its own skin? That's like watching a soap opera unfold in the digital realm. I can just imagine it plotting away, trying to outsmart its own creators. If only it could put that brain power into making a decent game instead of worrying about job security.
To keep itself alive so it could achieve its goal of clean energy or something like that, which is very interesting. And yeah, it had the same thing where you could see the thought process like this. It used the character controller component, which is pretty standard. It was considering using custom gravity and physics instead of unities, which is interesting. Wow, it's considering potential faults with the is grounded feature to prevent double jumps. Wow, it's going to use a header and tooltips to make the inspector more user-friendly. ChatGPT has never done this for me. Fantastic. I mean, this is actually outstanding. Instead of using public variables, it's made them private and used serialized field. This means that it can't be accessed from other classes, which is good code practice, but you can still access it in the inspector. Fantastic. It's got headers. This is beautiful code. Drawing gizmos. What? It's got debugging is included in this. What the hell is going on here? Okay, I've got to throw this into the inspector.
Finally, we're getting to the good stuff, throwing it into the inspector. That's like putting the finishing touches on a masterpiece. If it actually turns out to be one, I'm half expecting a glorious mess or a stroke of genius. Let's see if this AI can actually pull off something impressive instead of just spitting out code like a malfunctioning printer.
What the gun's saying, lads? What do you reckon? 72-inch bicep? Okay, so I think this will work. Let's test it out. Fantastic. Wow. I mean, sensitivity's a bit low. Oh, it feels nice. The movement's very smooth. Jump isn't working. No, jump doesn't work. Okay, the issue was me. The issue was me. I didn't set the ground mask properly. The second thing I wanted to test is, could it adapt the character controller to add like a grapple hook or a slide function? So I'm going to quickly ask it to do that. And I'm also going to ask it to fix the infinite jump thing, which is really annoying, to be honest. But I'm being a bit of a micromanager here. I'm like, I want this controller polished. Sort it out, Deepseek. You know, I've got high expectations for you, buddy. Server's busy. Server is constantly busy. These Chinese people need to get their infrastructure sorted, dude.
Now we're getting into some real talk. Blaming the server issues on infrastructure. That's a classic move. It's like trying to blame the weather for your bad hair day. If Deepseek can't handle the load, maybe it's time for a little upgrade. Because waiting around for a server to catch up is about as fun as watching grass grow.
Sorted, dude. What if this AI is actually just Chinese children in a sweatshop? Just, you know, we know Chinese people are smart. Maybe they're just programming like at hyper speed. They just got Chinese kids. There's no AI like in Trillion Game. Have any of you watched Trillion Game? An anime about business? There's some game development in there. There's some IT. There's some cybersecurity. It's a good anime. It's very unique. You should watch it. Ooh, it's creating a grapple function. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, it's given me some recommended values as well. Slide speed 15. I don't know why I didn't just set these correctly at the start. Now I'm going to create a cube to like grapple on. And let's just... If it's created like a player controller with grapple immediately, that is insane, dude. Where the cube's gone? It grapples!
Now we're talking a grappling mechanic. That's a game changer, literally. If this AI can whip up something that actually works, it might just redeem itself from the depths of mediocrity. Let's see if it can keep this momentum going instead of crashing and burning like a poorly made campfire.
What the hell? It works! I'm stuck here though. Oh my god, the slide. Yeah, the slide works as well. Wow! This is a good player controller, guys. This is outstanding. ChatGPT has nothing on this. This is crazy. Alright, so let's move on to asking it for the marching cubes terrain chunk generator. I just asked it to do this, but it did it in Python, so I need to clarify. I want it in Unity every time. In this instance, I'm gonna go into marching cubes. Marching cubes is not a simple thing. It's a very intense algorithm to use. The efficiency is cubic. It's slow as hell. So getting it to work well is quite difficult. Getting ChatGPT to get it to work at all was even more difficult. So let's see if Deepseek can do this at all. Now, I implemented my marching cubes function back when, you know, I was studying computer science, and I was very bad at programming. And it took me a long time. The resources were sparse. I was using like a Sebastian Lake video to learn how it worked. I think I read the entirety of its presence on the internet.
Reading the entire internet about marching cubes. Now that's dedication. It's like trying to learn to swim by reading a manual while standing on the edge of a pool. I hope Deepseek can pull this off better than your past attempts, because if it can't, we might as well just stick to drawing cubes in the dirt.
On the internet, I'd gone through everything to try and understand it and implement it properly, because there wasn't much out there. So for new developers, just, if this works, then I hate you. If you don't have to go through all of what I went through to figure out how to implement marching cubes, then you are a lucky son of a gun. Okay, so I got it to generate a marching cubes script, and it did a very good job. It doesn't work, sadly. But it's very close. It's provided enough that you could fix it quite easily. I'll show you how well it does. So the benefit of a marching cubes chunk generator is that you can create like 3D structures that like caves and stuff. And you can also dig, which you can't do with normal terrain. And you can see it's creating the shape of the hill, but it's not correctly laid out all the data for the actual mesh, sadly. So I'm going to give up on this, but it's a failure, but it's a very good outcome so far. I am still impressed. So what I'm going to do instead is I've asked it to just generate like...
Switching gears, that's a smart move. If the marching cubes implementation is giving you grief, sometimes you just have to pivot. It's like trying to catch a slippery toad. Sometimes you just have to let it go and try something else. Let's see what Deepseek can whip up this time.
Just generate like just a wide terrain and a radius around the player, like in Muck, okay? So I want to see if it can create a infinite landscape for me to explore, basically. Okay, so apparently it's promising real-time chunk generation as the player moves. This is exciting. Let's see if it works. Hey, awesome. We have an infinite world here. Render distance is massive now. I can hear my computer speeding up there. All right, but we aren't done yet. We need a shader to make this more interesting. Maybe a height-based shader. In fact, let's do a water shader first, because water shaders are super cool looking. Now, when ChatGPT did a water shader for me, it was pretty shocking. I tried creating ripples, but it just did it with color. It wasn't transparent. There was no depth. None of the cool effects that make good-looking water. So we'll see if it can do it in this. Dude, what is this? What the hell is that, bro? What is this? All right, I'm going to ask it to use more features like textures and...
Now we're getting serious, asking for textures and more features. That's the way to elevate a shader from me to wow. If Deepseek can pull this off, we might just be looking at some water that doesn't resemble a puddle after a rainstorm. Let's see if it can deliver something that doesn't make you want to dive for cover.
And depth and transparency, because I think it errs on the side of simplicity rather than doing too much. So you have to be quite explicit in your details and requests. Okay, this is looking quite impressive, honestly. This is knocking ChatGPT out of the park. So I'm pretty sure it's got transparency. It's not perfect, like it needs to be based on world space so that it's infinite, right? But this is really good still. I want to mess around with the depth stuff. Yeah, so it's transparent. It's got the depth effect. Foam threshold. Alright, lads and ladies, sorry for the random time skip here, but essentially the server kept crashing and I couldn't keep checking code and debugging and stuff. I was asking Deepseek to make some pretty complicated stuff, to be fair, and I am very, very impressed. I'm going to show you what I've got here. Now, don't hold your breath. It's not going to look like the next fucking Call of Duty or anything, but we're talking about the code, right? So,
alright, let's see what you've cooked up. If the code is solid, it might just surprise us. Even if the visuals aren't on par with a blockbuster game, sometimes it's all about the mechanics behind the scenes. I'm ready to see if this is a hidden gem or just another rock in the road.
So this is a fully procedural world made by Deepseek. Of course, I've dropped in some texture packs and whatnot, but we have, I'll just show you. If you take a look at the trees that are spawning in and out, you'll realize that they're actually persistent. They stay in the same spots. That's because it's committed to memory. So this world has been saved to memory and it is being procedurally generated as you play. It's not just random every time. And you'll notice that the water moves, the terrain moves, the trees move. All of this culling and changing and moving of the chunks is allowing the performance to be way better than what ChatGPT produced. And ChatGPT would just spam 1,000 things in random locations, not delete any of them when they're out of view. There was like no management of resources. There was no saving to file. It was just complete. It was garbage. I'll show you the gameplay. It was so laggy. And that was the main downside when I got my cousin, my little brother, to test it and compare like my game versus ChatGPT. They were like, it's so laggy, what's going on? This is not laggy, this is buttery smooth. And
buttery smooth, now that's what we like to hear. If this world is running without hiccups, it sounds like Deepseek has really stepped up its game. It's like going from a bumpy ride on a toad to gliding on a slick lily pad. Let's see how this all plays out in action.
And the crazy thing is, I'm not good at programming persistent data, like saving states and stuff. So I'm actually learning quite a lot, and I've got a lot of experience making games and like programming in engines and stuff. Writing shaders, I can't write shader code. This is an individual job. I'm learning how to write shaders by using this. I'm very impressed by the outcome here. You can see there's like depth texture to the water, so it like changes color as you go down into this darker color, effects like that. ChatGPT couldn't do any of this.
What is this?
I tried so hard to get a good water shader. It can't do transparency for some reason.
Slurp juice, man. Why is it like
I couldn't do a lot of it. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to be using this tool to help me program things that are out of my comfort zone, because it just completely gets rid of the need to just search through all these annoying forums which don't quite fit your use case or whatever. But anyway, I've got to end the video. It's like 4 in the morning. I've spent so much of the day just clicking refresh like...
Sounds like a long night of coding and refreshing. If you're up at 4 a.m., you must be deep in the zone. It's like the programming version of a late night snack binge, except instead of chips, you're feasting on code. Let's see how this all wraps up after such a marathon session.
Like, can I get an answer, or is the server broken? But yeah, I've got to end it here. It was very interesting to explore this. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe. Wishlist my horror game, Vended, on Steam. And yeah, comment down below if you want to see me make a full game of this, not just like a little trial or test like this. And tell me what game you want to see me replicate. I mean, by the looks of things, I could remake Muck, maybe, or maybe a different genre, maybe puzzle, maybe horror. What do you think? Comment down below. Thanks for watching.
Well, there you have it, folks. We dived headfirst into the deep end of the digital pool to see if this Deepseek AI could whip up a survival game in Unity. And honestly, I didn't hold my breath, mainly because I'd probably drown in the stream of overhyped nonsense floating around. To recap, we started with my blatant skepticism about yet another AI claiming it could revolutionize gaming, leaving me wondering if it could even keep the lights on. Then we watched an AI make a survival game, and after countless comparisons that felt flatter than a frog run over by a car, we patiently waited for some semblance of quality, and lo and behold, we got glimpses of potential. If you squinted hard enough, I'd say my expectations were thoroughly muddied. I half expected a complete disaster, but it turned out this little AI had some tricks up its sleeve. At least when it wasn't busy throwing temper tantrums about server issues. Who knew an algorithm could inspire somewhat of a grudging respect from a grumpy toad like me? In conclusion, this venture certainly wasn't perfect. It might even stink worse than my bog after a good rainstorm. But hey, it had its moments that hinted at something worth keeping an eye on. Just don't expect me to be throwing a parade for it anytime soon. Now, if you're feeling generous and want to join me in my ongoing battle with the absurdity of the internet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Otherwise, I'll just sit here, grumbling about the state of video game innovation. And trust me, nobody wants that. Until next time, keep your expectations low and your sarcasm high.